to America, starring the Whiskey Novice.
Hello, and welcome to another Whiskey Review with me, the Whiskey Novice. It's great to have you with me. Thank you for joining me once again. This is review number 78, part 3 of my series Back to America, looking at some American expressions. We've had a bourbon, we've had a rye, and this time, rarity of rarities, we're looking at a single malt. Oh yes, single malt from the United States. I'll explain the bottle first, shall I? This is Westward, all right? And I'm going to nose it while I'm talking. I'll explain it first. This is an independently owned distillery in Portland, Oregon, there on the Pacific West Coast. And it started in 2004, okay? Just nosing while I'm talking. This expression's twice distilled and matured for an undisclosed period of time in New Oak. All right, so that's the explanation. That's a brief explanation of what we're looking at here. Before we go any further, this bottle was very, very kindly gifted. Someone, I'm sure most of you will know from within the community, Mr. Bud Jenkins. Bud, who is there in the United States, liked this bottling, and gifted me a bottle to see what I thought of it, and I can't thank Bud enough for that. I really do appreciate it. So, what do I think of it? Well, American single malt, right? There are rulings around their bourbons, there's rulings around their ryes, there's rulings around Tennessee whiskey. We will get to rulings later. This whiskey puts me in a little turmoil, and we will get to that as well, as to why there's a little turmoil. For now, I'm going to give you my review of it as a whiskey, what I think of it as a whiskey, taking into consideration all I've already told you. Okay, so here we go. Yes, bottled at 45%, non-chill filtered, very, very clearly stated on the bottle. Happy days. Well done, Westward. Right, on the nose, I'm going to explain to you what I'm getting, and then I'm going to chat to you a little bit about maturation. Please hang around for that, because it may explain a lot of what and why I review things in the way that I do. Maybe but anyway, on the nose, green, okay? Say an undisclosed period of time. As I say, the distillery was only opened in 2004. This is, I imagine, a relatively young whiskey. Nose, green, fir trees, pine sap, right? Resinous, virgin oak, underlying virgin oak. Allspice, cloves, cinnamon. And then under all those layers of resinous, piney, grain notes, there's fruit layers. First of all, prunes or prune juice. And I get an incredibly weird jam. There's a jam note in here. Now, one could say, well, you're smelling fruit. But it's not just fruit, it's preserved fruit. It is jam, and it's either raspberry or plum or something red, something juicy. It's actually very pleasant. There's a very slight aniseed thread running underneath. But all the while, that virgin oak, I think, that virgin oak and char tend to take the lead. At virgin oak, underline virgin oak. I will get back to this. Let's get into the palate. This is a strange one because it's a meaty, slightly sour, savoury note. Not too many whiskies I get to use the word umami in the mat with the tongue when starting on the palate, but this is one. It's quite pleasant. It fires off things all round. Bud, who gifted this to me, I think explained it as being, he said himself, he used the words not terribly complex, but quite, not sure whether he used the words quite Moorish, but it draws you back in. Sweet cigar smoke. Burnt toast. Bitter orange. Sugared almonds. This is what I'm finding in here. I said earlier about that jam, and it's on the palate. Still a stewed, darker fruit. Something, I wouldn't name a fruit, but it just feels like a stewed, darker fruit. It coats very well, but it isn't oily. And that virgin oak tends to make the ABV. It's not hot. It's not, as I say, at 45%. It's not a high ABV, but I think the virgin oak gives it a pepperiness that makes it feel slightly higher than 45%, but not in a bad way. Finish medium to long. Some more cinnamon. Leaves quite a nice dry memory of, guess what, virgin oak. Now, virgin oak. I keep mentioning virgin oak. The reason I keep making such a big thing about virgin oak is I don't know if I like virgin oak. When I opened this whiskey at first, as you can see, that there's not an awful lot out of it, but when I opened it at first, the neck pour impressed me in that, I don't know about the rest of you, but one has a preconception that America, good at bourbon, good at rye, single malt, that's ours, leave it alone. And I don't want to take it that far, but it's there's a few of them out there doing single malts now, and why not? Why not? It's theirs for the making. The virgin oak thing, as I say, and this is why I was giving you my review of this as a whiskey, putting virgin oak aside, because I think virgin oak is going to become more and more popular in use by distilleries, for the simple fact that an awful lot has happened throughout the lockdowns, throughout things, and I just get the feeling that some casks may not be as available as they used to be because distilleries maybe weren't. Maybe I'm wrong. I just think virgin oak, where Scottish distilleries are allowed to use it, obviously Irish distilleries are allowed to use it and are using it, I just can see it being, if not necessarily used more, certainly experimented with more to see where they can go, because obviously virgin oak is readily available. Just a theory, I could be wrong. Now, yet again, back to this thing. What do I think, for me personally, could have improved this whiskey? Extended maturation in something that's not virgin oak. I like this. I do like this, don't get me wrong. It's a bloody good example of a virgin oak matured whiskey. Didn't put water in it, you'll have noticed. Not going to put water in it because I did during my tasting notes, and no, it fell apart. I've sort of started to discover that for some reason American whiskies, bourbons, whatever you want to call them, don't tend to take water very well. Even whenever the ABV goes up, they just tend to split a little. Might just be me once again, but I do like this. It's good. To me, it has got complexities worthy of a good single malt. I just don't know if I like virgin oak that much. As I said, maybe an extended maturation and something else, because it's got body. It's held together well without water. So it could have, to me, it could take extended maturation in something that's not virgin oak. Law, as I understand it, American law as I understand it, and please, if I'm wrong, please let me know, correct me. Bourbon, rye, Tennessee whiskey, probably etc., have to be matured in new oak. I don't think that law extends to single malt in America, but please, if I'm wrong, let me know. And if it doesn't extend to single malt, then start experimenting. Go wild, America. Fill your boots. Experiment. And I'm sure they will. This is young, as I said, and I believe there are other maturations in Westward. This just is a good starting point. And as I said earlier, I know they're not the only distillery who are making single malts out there in America, and I can't thank God enough for this. And it's good to have the opportunity to try it. Yet again, virgin oak, not so sure. I did say that before I move away from it, I did say to Bud at the start, I find this actually somewhere between a Scotch and an Irish malt, in that there's certain things I found in it which I found akin to both those countries and their offerings. So there you are. I'll not waffle on anymore. We'll just go to this. Yeah, I did say we'll move on. I did say I found it akin to Irish. I did say I found it akin to Scotch whiskey, and there was one in particular. And yet again, I'm going to suggest, because this isn't readily available in the UK. You can get it. Expect to pay £60 to £70 for it in the UK. So I asked the question, how many people are going to jump at it? But maybe if I give you a suggestion, it might change your mind. That what I'm going to say is, not if you've had this, try this. I'm going to reverse it again and say, if you've had this Deanston Virgin Oak, then you would probably very, very much like this. This is a prime example of Scotch whiskey using virgin oak. It's there, it's available, use it. As I said, experiment, try it. This is another one. It's virgin oak. Do I like it? Well, I do, but I'm not 100% sure about it, because there's notes in virgin oak that don't necessarily sit terribly well in my palate. That resinous, green, fir, sappy note, I don't know whether I like it or not. But if you've had Deanston Virgin Oak and you really liked it, then this would probably be right up your street. So I would recommend you give it a try, definitely. So if you liked, going backwards, you like Deanston Virgin Oak, then you'll probably love Westward Single Malt. There you have it. Can't thank Bud once again enough for gifting this to me. A good example of what is coming, what the future is for American single malt. Certain part of me wants to say, leave it alone, America. You've got your bourbon, you've got your rye, you've got your Tennessee whiskey. We do malt, but it's not one of those things, is it? It's not exclusive to us. Say it, just back in the nose every time, first thing. And it's something I've got to know. I've really got to recognise, because of whiskies like this, because of the Deanston, is virgin oak. If you look at Irish whiskey, if you're looking down at West Cork and things like that, that's where you'll find that same virgin oak thing. If you like it, this, as I said, will be right up your street. Certainly got depth. It's got, to me, it has actually quite a bit of complexity. And it is actually quite Moorish, but still virgin oak. Anyway, I'll move on. That's me done for this one. Next week, I'll be back for the last part of this series, and we'll see what we'll have then. Till then, thank you very much for your support. Thank you very, very much to my patrons. If you wish to join that group, the details are below. Till next time, cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.